everyone, and welcome back. So, I love playing Zelda, especially Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I go around fighting the monsters, Bokoblins specifically, and I defeat them. Big whoop. You get a horn, some guts, maybe a tooth or a toenail. That doesn't really wow me. I need something more, something that really shows that I've accomplished something, you know? What I'm saying is, I need their heads. And I think I deserve that. I mean, look at Link. Look at him. Look how bored he looks just receiving a blue Bokoblin horn. He needs more than that. He deserves more than that. So, let's give it to him. We're starting off with balling up a ball of aluminum foil, which I'm sizing to this plaque to make sure that the inside of the head won't be too big for when I start adding on the sheet of clay. While shaping the clay around the head, I press around to make sure that we won't have any air bubbles in there. And then I get started on making the nose, which is just a triangle shape that I smush to the face and blend out. After blending out the nose, I put in some holes for the little eye sockets. After that, I will drop in some pre-made eyeballs that I made off camera. Then adding in some small sinks of clay for the eyelids that I am blending out here. I then poke in holes for the nostrils, then I use my silicone shaper along with a ball tool to define it further. Okay, here I'm adding in a bit of clay just to bulk out the top part of the upper jaw, and then blending that out. Now I'm bulking out the forehead and blending that out until smooth. I also add in some wrinkles as well. Okay, enough of that. For the jaw, I just smush a ball of clay until it's the right size for the head. So I attach the bottom jaw to the rest of the head, slowly smushing it out until I get that shape of the jaw that I want. Then adding in some clay on the sides to close off the sides of the mouth. I add in a bit of clay to the back to seal off the back as well. Now for the front part of the jaw, I just use my flat shaper and my fingers to pinch and pull the bottom jaw into the correct shape. I also use my cone shaper to section out the lip from the gum line. Now I'm adding in the teeth, which I did off camera. All I did was roll a small ball of clay and pinched one side so I can jam that pointy side into the jaw. And now I'm just blending that in. Onto the tongue, I just take another ball of clay and roll it out into a tongue shape. Using a toothbrush to give it texture, I just push it into the mouth. Now I'm bulking out the rest of the head and adding in some more bulk to the nose. Blending all that in until smooth and deepening some more areas on the nose. Here I'm adding the neck so that the head will be able to sit onto the plaque. To do that, I get a thick piece of clay and press the head into the clay, and then blending that into the neck. And then making sure the bottom of that head is nice and flat and it's sitting in the right direction. So this is my first time using Cosclay. I know it's been around for years, but for some reason I just never bought it. But I'm glad I did. It's amazing. I love it. I would continue buying it. So for this part, I decided to use Cosclay for the horn. And what I ended up doing was just pressing it into the general horn shape. I use a needle tool to mark out where the sections of the horn is going to be. Then I go in with different shapers to accentuate the details in the horn. And eventually you have this shape here. After doing the second half of the horn off camera, we are going to join them together. Just add a small bit of clay and blend it out, and that held together beautifully. Next is to add the little bit that attaches the top part of the horn to the head. To do that, I just take a bit of clay and make a rippled kind of shape to it. I don't really know how to explain it, but you can see here, I just kind of make an indentation with my needle tool and then flatten the bottom edge and then blend that into the rest of the horn. Here I'm adding in a bit of detail onto the horn. I just add in a little ball of clay and then slowly just push into the clay so that I have this like circular shape surrounding that little ball that I just added. Next, I'm adding that little tiny spike on top. Just put a tiny little cone shape bit of clay right on top of there, blend it down. Then I'll be adding a very thin bit of clay around that to make that transition from that cone to the rest of the horn a bit smoother. I'm just flattening the bottom of the horn out a little bit more to get it ready for when I attach it to the head. And there the horn is done. Next for the ears, I just take some clay that I flatten out, then going in with my biggest ball tool to shape the ear, then pinching and pulling and kind of bending it to look like an ear. And look, it's an ear. I then take some wire and poke that through just to give the ear something to actually hold on to. And then I will be shoving that into the head, and I do that for both ears and the horn. Then I take some clay and blend that transition between the ear and the head out. Here I'm adding some details into the ear. You won't really see this once I start painting it, but we both know it's there, so no problem. So when I get ready to bake this, I'll add some aluminum foil to make sure that the ears and the horn will sit upright. Have you guys ever played Twilight Princess and seen those bokoblins in that game? Oh my goodness, that's a thing of nightmares. In Tears of the Kingdom, they look so cute, and they look like little pig bats. Adorable. Oh, but yeah, look at it. Thing of nightmares. Like, why? But either way. Anyways, moving on. So we're moving on to the necklace that the bokoblin has around its neck. I just take some bits of clay and slowly twist it out until it looks like a braided cord. Then I end up making the skull that it has around its neck off camera. Here you see me making the loincloth that I'm going to put behind the bokoblin's head. But going back to the skull that the bokoblin has around its neck, whose skull is that? As I was sculpting this, I was just thinking, whose skull is this? It can't be the bokoblin's. Like, it can't be. They're so tiny. So that leads me to believe they're Hylians. Little Hylian skulls. So I don't feel bad, is what I'm saying, about putting this bokoblin's head on my wall. I feel like they deserve it at this point, right? You agree with me. Getting it ready for the bake, I just use some alcohol and then wipe it over the entirety of the face and the horn, bake it, and then it's done. Look at it, look how it came out. I love it so much. So much, I made another one. Look at that, they look amazing, I love it. So here you see me sanding the bottom of Bokoblin to sit completely flat onto the plaque and it won't fall off. Now I'm painting the blue Bokoblin, Bokoblin Blue. All the paints I'm using are Folkart MAC Acrylics. You can see that the mouth and tongue is already painted. Don't worry about that. I end up going over that again because the colors didn't come out the way I wanted. Bokoblins have a neon colored tongue, and I used the color Opera Pink, which is pretty neon. And this is the closest I got, but it looks good in the end. Next you see me here painting in the shadowy parts of the face. I could do a wash, but then I was worried about messing up the paint job I've already did. So I just went in with a darker color in the creases. Then I go in with a lighter color that I dry brush over everything, and that blends in beautifully. Now I'm painting in the teeth. I just went in with a white. I started painting the eyes white because the Bokoblin's eyes and tongue are pretty much fluorescent, and to make that show up more, you want to go in with a white color. That'll make it pop even more. I start painting the ears this yellow color, and I mix two colors, a darker color and a yellow color that I blend out together. And I lost the footage of me painting the inner ear, but all I do is darken that same yellow color that I used for the ear, and I just color in some blobs. For the horn, all I do is just paint it with the base coat, and doing the same thing I did with the face. I go into the corners and the creases with the darker color, and then I dry brush a lighter color to blend that all in. And I take some toned down white to put in some little details here and there. For the eyes, what I end up doing to give it that glowing effect, I blend back and forth the neon pink color that I have and a purple, and as I get closer to the center, I stick to mostly that pink. For the pupils, I just go in with some bright white directly in the center, and once you see at the very end, it gives it a glowing effect. At least I think it does. What do you guys think? I almost forgot to do this part. I was looking at it like, why does this look off? I forgot the little face paint. So I go in with the same color that I used for the horn and just give it some face paint. Okay, this one's done, and on to the red Bokoblin. This one is going to be painted Bokoblin red, and that's just a little burnt orange color with a little bit of red. I did the same thing I did with the last one, going into the creases in the corner with the darker color, which for some reason was harder for this one. It was harder for this one, I'm assuming because it's red. I had a harder time because of the red, but it worked out and it looks good. I do the same thing I did with the last one, except for blue with the eyes, ending it with white pupils. And the faces are done. Let's finish with the accessories. For the blue Bokoblin, it gets this brown polka dotted loincloth thing. I don't know where they're getting these things. Are they making it themselves or are they finding these animals? I don't know. I think I'm asking too many questions, but I made it anyway. I just added in some dark areas for the shadows and some light bits for the highlight, and then this one is done. For the red Bokoblin's loincloth, it gets this light yellowy color, and then after I did the green stripes, it looked too manufactured, so I went in with some dry brushing. Dry brushing is always your friend, and I just kind of roughed it up a bit to make it look more handmade, but less handmade, if that makes sense. And then adding some highlights around, that one's done. And I'm just painting the accessories here, painting the necklace brown. Then I paint the plaque brown to make the wood look like wood. Now we're tinting the skull. I tinted with the brown wash. Now I'm adding the little ID cards. I thought this was a really nice touch. I just tint the edges of the paper with some yellow ochre, then I add in some scribbles. Now see, we're back at the skull. See, look at the skull. This cannot be a Bokoblin skull. They're not wearing the skulls of their ancestors around their neck. So I'm 100% believing it's something else. It has to be. Unless they're carving it, which doesn't make any sense. But I just go over the eyes and tongue with a clear varnish, and let's look at the final result. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I hope you all enjoyed this just as much as I did creating this. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and see you soon. Bye!